Perfect. So I'm going to be talking quickly on how we can use service workers in React, and then specifically how we could sync our React application across multiple tabs and browser windows using service workers. As a quick intro about myself, I'm a software engineer at Pluralsight. 5 minutes isn't a lot of time to go into the code of my demo today, so I'm just going to be posting snippets. If you want to clone it and download it yourself and play around with the demo that I'm going to show today, you can check out my Twitter. I am Tyler W. Clark. I'll be posting my slides there as well. So check that out if you want to play around with the demo. So what am I talking about when I say sync your component state? Well, if we have our application in 2 different tabs or browser windows, if we were to update state on one of the tabs, it would automatically apply to any other application of our domain out there without having to refresh or without having to use WebSockets. So it keeps it in sync. As you increment and decrement, our counter state stays consistent across. It's pretty cool. Service workers, for those that don't know, it's just a script that runs in a separate file in your browser. It's green light across all the browsers right now except for IE. So it's something that we can play around with today. And the way that our apps can talk with service workers and the service worker can talk back to our applications is through messages. And we can post messages to and from and pass along data as well. So in our case, we want to post data to our service worker. And in this demo, our service worker just has one job. It's going to sit in the background of our browser, and it's going to be listening for messages that it receives from our React component. Once it receives a message with updated state, its job is to pass along that state across any open tabs or windows that are open. And you'll see in the code here an example, clients is a reference to tabs and windows that we have. So you could have more than one tab or more than one window. Whoops, let's try it again. We can have more than one tab or window open at the same time, and it'll still keep it consistent because you have a service worker in the background. And when any of our apps update the state, it's going to hear it and pass it along to all of our running applications. So let's go ahead and code out our service worker file here. We're just going to use an event listener where we listen for messages. We'll destructure and pull out the data, which is in our case our component state. We're going to do this clients.matchAll. When this returns, we're going to have a list of clients that we can for each over. Inside of our for each, we want to check that we don't post or push this updated state across to the same one that sent it to us. So we'll client ID and make sure that we don't send it to the same one. And then we're just going to post the message on through. So the service worker receives it. It gets a list of all the clients or tabs or windows that are open, and then it just kind of forwards it along to those open applications. So our service worker just did that one thing. Our React component is going to do 2 things. The first thing we need to do is whenever we update state, increment or decrement, instead of a React application, we need to post to the service worker to let everyone know that's out there that we've updated our counter state. And the second thing it needs to do is we need to be listening. So we need an event listener where we're listening for messages from our service worker that tells us that somewhere else our app updated and we need to act accordingly. So inside of our React component, we're going to register the service file that we just coded. When that's ready to go, we're going to set an event listener where we're listening for messages. Along with that message, we're going to get data and our new state. So we'll set state our counter state with this new event data state. And then we need to be able to post updates to a worker, which is the second thing. So we can create a handy function here called state to service worker. We're going to receive the new state, and then we're going to pass or post a message to our service worker with this new state. So inside of our increment and decrement functions, inside of our React component, not only do we update our own state of the component, but we're going to call that function set state or state to service worker, passing along the new state from our own state. So that way everything stays consistent. So +1 for increment and -1 for decrement. That's how we can use service workers to pass and message back and forth to keep your application up to date. If you want to see the rest of the code, I'll be posting this right after this. Thanks.